Sitting off the side, yeah. Yeah.
It's snowing.
Middle of April.
It's like a lizard. Blizzard.
Ready? Okay. I'll call to order the city council meeting for April 14th, 2022. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Dave Webb. Here. Kevin Kadada.
Here.
Tim Rude.
Here.
Cindy Fuhr.
Here.
And Scott Palava.
Here.
Okay, tonight's agenda goes through 10J. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Councilman Palava.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kadada. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of minutes. Consider approval of the minutes from the March 31st, 2022 regular meeting. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kadada, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There are no public hearings. Presentation of citizens' petitions and comments. Comments limited to 2 minutes. If you're not on the agenda, now's your opportunity to speak. Okay. One item on the consent agenda tonight, consider acknowledgement of a Minnesota Lawful Gambling LG 220 application for exempt permit with no waiting period submitted by the Knights of Columbus Council 16225. Anybody like that item pulled for discussion?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Councilman Kadada.
Second.
Second by Councilperson Fuhr. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There is no old business. On to new business. Consider approval of application for payment number 13 in the amount of $164,890.55 to Key Contractors, Inc. for the police facility. Melissa Stein of Wold, welcome.
Hi, Mayor, council members. Yeah, so we're here to approve the pay app. I know I saw you guys just a couple weeks ago, but we're gonna start coming to the first meeting that you have of the month. So the next time you will see us will actually be a full month. But as you guys know, the project is moving right along. Currently mechanical, electrical is ongoing, almost finished, but it's kind of ongoing process here, devices, lighting as we go. The garage, all of the lighting and electrical devices have been fully installed, and the garage itself has been fully painted. Interior painting is, for the most part, complete. There's a few minor walls that aren't, including kind of our accent walls that we have throughout the building. Along with the bathrooms, so the bathrooms are complete, all the tile, the painting, accessories, everything's installed with those. And then they've started installing, the casework this week. So as we move on to kind of the next couple weeks, they'll be finishing the casework, the tile work that is in the break room and at the front counter reception area. That will be installed once they get the countertops in. Just from a sequencing standpoint, that piece isn't completed yet, and then all the tile work will be done at that time. They will be starting to hang doors and install the hardware. And then start installing the carpet and kind of the resilient hard flooring that we have in the break room and some of the other areas. And then it's all dependent on weather, but in the next couple weeks they'll finish the brick that needs to be installed on the exterior of the building in a few of those locations too. And then the metal panel as well. So, and again, I don't know if that'll be, probably not next week, probably in a couple weeks, but again, when it gets a little warmer temperatures.
Is there any items that are delayed or we're still kind of on track?
Yeah, so we have been keeping a really close eye on the schedule. There are a few items that are scheduled to come in kind of that last week in May, so we're really checking on those and making sure that they're keeping on track of, okay, has there been any delays? Has there been any, issues? And we'll keep that going. There has been a few items that are delayed. The pumps for the boilers are the main ones, so there's some mechanical work that they can't quite finish until they get those. But they are currently working on trying to get those on site. They were supposed to be on site, I think, last week, and they just haven't arrived yet.
So what are we saying again for substantial completion? We're still thinking
The
about-
first week in June, so I think that's the second or the third, I can't quite remember the actual date, but,
Okay.
and that would be the building. And then July 1st would be for the site work. So we're checking that as well. We know Key has been going out there and, checking the thaw of the ground and kind of trying to gather when will be an appropriate time for them to come start. They said that they have been in contact with all of their site contractors that need to come back out, and they all still are on, we're all still on the schedule at this time. It's all tentative, obviously, of when they can get out here and start doing that work.
So are we still targeting like a July 1st move-in? Is that kind of what we're saying, or what are we thinking?
Yeah, so I think we are still planning that July 1st to be kind of our owner occupancy timeframe, yes.
Okay, any questions? How's the weekly meetings going? Good, I assume? Or all
Yeah,
good?
good.
Good,
Do a full walkthrough and see the progress every week and,
okay,
yeah, really starting to take shape.
good, good.
We got pictures if you wanna see them.
Yeah. And the last piece is, this will probably be my last council update to you guys all, so, I don't know if you noticed, but John McNamara is in, is in the audience today. At the next time when we're here in May, I will more than likely be on maternity leave. But I just wanna let you guys know, John will be here to give the updates. The transition, we've had someone else on site as in a PM role, project manager role, for the past couple months here. So he's fully integrated into the project, knows kind of what's happening, has met Scott and the chief and Joel and multiple times, and there hasn't been any issues yet with that transition, and so we don't foresee any issues with the transition as I kind of leave out here. So, but I will more than likely be here when we have that grand opening, so I'll
Great.
keep a look for that date and kind of be around
Good,
for that.
good. Well,
So.
best of luck to you. Any questions on the pay app? Any issues? Everybody cool with that?
Make a motion to approve pay application 13 for 164,890.55 to Key Contractors.
Motion by Councilman Palava,
Second?
second by Councilperson Fear. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again,
you.
good luck with your.
Thank you.
Okay, on to consider approval to make a conditional job offer to Jordan Plotz as lead water / wastewater operator at grade 13, step 7:38.13 an hour. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. With the retirement of Dale Fuhr, the city advertised for a lead water and wastewater operator. The position was advertised on the cities, the League of Minnesota Cities, and Rural Waters website. We also posted it on Facebook. We received 4 applications. The interview committee or HR committee interviewed all 4 applicants. The recommendation of the committee is to make a conditional job offer to Jordan Plotz. He's being recommended because he meets the majority of the minimum requirements. He has his Class B wastewater certificate. That was he emailed me subsequent to the interview that was renewed, so that's good for 4 years, I believe. He has a Class B water operator certificate. He has a valid Class B CDL with the air brake endorsement. We require, tanker and manual transmission, I believe. He has his certification for land application of biosolids, and he'll have to obtain CPR certification. He has 13 years of experience in the field, is currently employed with the city of Moorhead. He interviewed well based off of that interview. He's got a clear understanding of operations of water, wastewater plants, maintenance, and application of biosolids. Staff and plots have spoke since the interview and have come to terms, obviously pending council approval, on what's being recommended. The recommendation is an hourly wage of $38.13 an hour and 3 weeks accrued vacation at start of employment. We're anticipating a start date of May 2nd at the latest. And then all of all the applicants, plots most closely met the minimum requirements for the position. If there's any questions, I would be more than willing to answer them.
The grade 13, step 7, that fits into our pay scale?
Yes.
Yeah, he's certainly pretty qualified. He's from City of Moorhead, I think, is where he's currently employed. Yeah, he's a good candidate.
I move we make a conditional job offer to Jordan Plotz as lead water wastewater operator.
Motion by
Second.
Councilman Kadada, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval to make a conditional job offer to Richard Bell as seasonal public works employee at grade 1, step 4, $14.92 an hour. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, as you guys can see from the agenda, it's conditional job offer meeting. So, it's that time of the year. We need to hire our seasonal public works employees. I apologize, I'm trying to get to the screen here. We received authorization to advertise for these positions. The position was advertised, or positions were advertised. I believe we received 7 applications so far. Some before, some after the due date. Quite frankly, most of them were after the due date. We didn't receive many applications prior to. Bell worked for the city as a seasonal employee last year. Was a good worker, and everything that I've heard and when we've talked, he's just extremely excited to work for the city and can't wait to get working for the city again this spring. As always, this is a seasonal position. It would be no longer than 6 months, so that the city does not, nor neither Bell has to pay into PERA. Between now and the next council meeting, the Public Works Director and myself will finalize interviews and make a recommendation or recommendations for the other applicants to be made conditional job offers. $37,000 was budgeted in '22 for seasonal public works employees. Alternative would be to not make a job offer to Richard Bell, and then included with this staff report is his application material, and then the 100-point rating that we use to rate applicants to determine who gets interviewed for jobs. I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Recommend them, from what I understand. Okay.
Yes.
Make a motion to give a conditional job offer to Richard Bell.
Motion by Councilman Palava,
Second.
second by Councilperson Fear. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval to make a conditional job offer to Jeff Kubish as seasonal public works employee at grade 1, step 4, $14.92 an hour. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the last job offer for a seasonal employee. Again, same thing, we interviewed, received 7 applications. The Public Works Director and myself interviewed Mr. Kubish end of last week, I believe. He interviewed well. He's got experience mowing lawn with the Faribault School District, also experience in repairing equipment, welding, and blacksmithing. He is available after school to work 40 hours a week, and based off of the interview, that's what he said that he intends to do. So that's great. We'll have consistency during the week and hopefully through the summer season. Again, 6 months consecutive work, so the city nor Kubish have to pay into PERA, And then again, between now and the next council meeting, the Public Works Director and myself will finalize interviews and make recommendation to fill the remaining positions. Unless the council has any questions, I'd make a recommendation to make a conditional job offer to Jeff Kubish as seasonal Public Works employee, grade 1, step 4.
So move.
Motion by Councilman Kadada,
Second?
second by Councilperson Fair. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of revisions to the city's personnel policy pertaining to work hours, seasonal employees, non-exempt employees, callback, vacation leave schedule, and vacation earning and use. Ms. Jordan?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Over the last several months, or I guess leading up to that, Public Works staff had made a request that the city council review the personnel policy and make some requested changes. Those changes are in your packet. I've met with Public Works staff twice, and then several times with the HR committee to go over this, to form the recommendation. I've kind of got them listed here. The first one, normal working hours, 7 to 3:30. This is already addressed in the personnel policy. It states that the supervisor, with the approval of the administrator, will set the normal work hours. Weekend hours worked be compensated at time and a half. As proposed, hours over 40 hours would be at the overtime rate. Holidays and accrued time off be counted towards hours worked. Currently, employees have to actually work 40 hours, so if there's a sick day, a vacation day, a holiday, and we'll assume 8 hours, they would get overtime at 48 hours. They have to work 40 plus the accrued time off, so hour 49 would be at overtime, not 41. If called back, compensation would be a minimum of 2 hours at time and a half, the hourly wage. The current policy is that the city would pay for actual hours worked. The proposal for 2 hours, minimum of 2 hours at the overtime rate, is common in the private sector. One thing that I would just want to make clear is that if called back to work and the council agrees to the minimum of 2 hours at time and a half, it would be work 40 hours plus the time that they were called back, so that the hours actually are at time and a half. If it would come to snow plowing or water main breaks, and we'll get to that. Well, I'll get to that when I get to that. But my interpretation of the policy as proposed is that employees would not be sent home. They would be allowed to work their 40 to get the minimum of 2 hours at the time and a half. Employees be vested with PERA through the city after 2 years. We're not recommending this. The city would have to create its own and fund its own pension. It would have to be a self-funded pension. PERA is a state-funded, or not state-funded, I wish it was. It is a state-ran program. Employees cannot be sent home early if called in early unless the employee agrees. This isn't recommended. We've got a budget to follow. Wages are a substantial percentage of all departments and cumulatively of the entire city budget. Let's see. So this gets back to the 2 hour call out. Again, it would be my interpretation of the policy that they would not have to be sent home if they were called in and received the minimum of the 2 hours. Now, with that said, the city, I feel, should retain the right as the employer to have the ability to send employees home. So if, for example, we've got a water main break, or we're snow plowing for 55 hours, at that point, I would be my recommendation that the city retain the ability to send them home. to manage employee costs. Employees have the option of choosing overtime or comp time. This is the current practice. If an employee is required to attend a council meeting, the employee should be compensated for 1 hour or the actual time spent. I'm not recommending that. If the employee attends meetings, they'll be compensated accordingly. On-call pay, we're not recommending this. If an employee is called into work, they would receive the minimum of the 2 hours at the overtime rate. Then the last item is vacation time can be taken in minimum increments of 1 hour. Our current policy says that vacation can be taken in increments of not less than 4. Sometimes it becomes impractical to take 4 hours of vacation, so it does seem to make sense to allow vacation in increments of 1 hour. Excuse me. The fiscal impact of these changes are unknown, mainly because it's based off of how much overtime there would be and call-outs. I've kind of estimated it at not more than $4,000 a year. Alternatives would be to not approve the proposed changes or make revisions to some or all of the recommended changes. And then included with the staff report is the red line version of the current policy with the proposed changes. And I guess that would conclude the staff report, so I'd answer any questions you guys may have.
The work 40 that you kind of covered, they have to put 40 hours in before they get their time and a half, correct? Is what is proposed on here. And you can use accrued time if they do work 32 hours that week, and there's a holiday involved in that, that is credited as working 40 hours, correct? So if they're called in that weekend,
Correct.
then it is covered with overtime.
Correct.
That sounds fair.
Right.
I think what you're proposing sounds fair. I'm good with it, I guess.
One of the questions maybe I missed, I've read through it a couple of times, but what's the difference between call back and call early? What's the definitive date? Or is it like midnight? Are you called back, until midnight, and if you get called in at 1 or you get called at 1 in the morning, is that
Well,
when
what
early
you,
come in?
examples of being called in early, I guess would be, snow plowing.
Mhm.
They start at 2 or 4, or I guess depending on when,
Yeah.
Or it may start snowing at 3 in the afternoon and done at 8, so they'll change the schedule to whatever, 1 to 9 or midnight, however long it took to. But the callback is that an employee called back to work at a time other than the employee's normal scheduled shift would be compensated at the minimum of the 2 hours. Someone hit a stop sign and we got to put one up. There's windstorm and branches got to be pushed out of the way. Things like that. Hey, we got a phone call that there's water bubbling up in the asphalt on 10th Avenue Northeast. Someone's got to go and okay, yeah, it is, and turn down the close the valves for pressure.
Well, I understand, I just was trying to figure out which side is called back and which is called in early. That's just what I was looking for.
The
And
one that-
meeting, go ahead.
The one that concerns me is number 7, being sent home early. And I get the budget part, we all eat and sleep the budget thing. However, when you got a guy in the truck, and they're in the truck for 16 hours because they've been plowing all night, and then it's time to haul, because God forbid we leave the snow on the street, so they're in the truck hauling away, and then they get sent home, they've been up for hours and hours, and then they're sent home, there's no option as overtime. But they've been in, maybe it was the whole weekend, maybe it was over the holiday. We know they've been in trucks on Christmas, been in it with them. I think we need to figure out a better way to do that. There's got to be a better way to figure that out.
So we have talked about that. at the staff level. And, what was recommended was, well, hopefully it doesn't snow anymore. I'm kinda losing faith, but, it was, hey, we just got through the snow plowing season, everything's fresh in our mind, let's review the policy and operational, how can we change things? You know, I heard that loud and clear, that plowing on the weekends, you know, for however long it takes, 10, 12, 14 hours, and then, you know, having to be sent home, it's, hey, you know, can we identify what the core needs are, get that done, and then, you know, I don't think that, you know, snow from, I don't know, whoever we haul snow from, I don't wanna call out anyone, but, you know, chances are the pile that they pushed into the street isn't causing any problems for 24 hours and can be taken care of on Monday morning. You know, versus hauling everything.
Right, so, yeah, right, and some of that's supervisional, operational, I agree with that.
I don't know if it completely addresses, because that is a big concern, I understand that.
Yeah,
And
you
some
know,
of this,
this,
yeah, some of it's maybe work in progress, I mean, some of it you gotta, you know, work with Russ and staff. I mean, I think from a policy perspective, I think what Joel presented seemed fair. I mean, as we go down the path, if we see things that need to be tweaked, we certainly can discuss that. I mean, we're all on the same team here, you know? It's, you know, I think, but for the point of policy, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly with the overtime, and that's only fair, you know? Especially in water mains. Snow plowing's a little, I mean, it comes with the territory, it's part of your job, but, you know, water mains or hit a stop sign or emergency situation, they definitely should come in. I'm okay with the 2 hour minimum. I mean, that's only fair, you know, so I think the way the policy is presented is fine, and if we have to tweak it as we get on the path, we certainly can do that too.
Joel, the meeting time, I can't find it back in here now, what number was that one?
I think it's 9.
9.
Yeah, 9.
So what you're recommending is that they're compensated according to exactly how much time they're there, whether it's a half an hour or 15 minutes.
And I'll go even further, you know, if they're even required to be there.
Right?
For a city council meeting. Or for any,
Yeah, for any meeting, I mean, you've got, you know, EDA, park board, library
Yeah,
board,
yeah.
P and Z.
I think we had this discussion 10 years ago, you know, if they're required to be there, that's one thing.
Right.
But if they're coming just because they're bored on a Thursday night, you know, maybe that's a stretch. But you know, see, if you require them to come to a meeting, they should be paid. That's fine.
Right.
And non-exempt employees that attend meetings are compensated for attending meetings
Right.
currently.
Right, okay.
Has this been gone over with employees or a representative from them?
Yes, it has.
And they're all comfortable with it?
And they're all happy campers?
Not on everything, no. I'll
Well,
be
like-
honest.
You know, we all want more,
Right.
We all want, you know. And some of this stuff, you know, ideally, we should work through this at a budget meeting, the budget process, you know, so we can, if there's money involved, we can budget for it and all those kind of things. I think the clarification is fine.
Yep.
But I mean, we have budget meetings upcoming now during the course of the summer. If there's things that, you know, we missed or have not addressed, I mean, there'd be opportunities to do it then. I mean, ideally, that's where you'd like to, you know, like to get this all squared away.
What I took away from the meetings were a lot of these concerns could be addressed by reviewing operations.
Right. And I think we could even go to the point of, you know, if Russ, you know, has questions, we certainly can, I mean, we have department heads from the city council, I mean, Scott. You certainly could have a couple of city council members sit in on it and get it resolved and then bring it to the full council. You know, I think just for the policy perspective, I think what you have is great, but I think if it's operational or whatever other issues, you know, you two certainly can represent the city council. You know.
I think it would be wise to keep this a work in progress, you know, like I said, the clarification of this is fine, but I do think the staff that we have is a good core staff to have. It'd be nice to work both sides with everybody.
Well, and the thing is, you want to be fair.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And policies get updated and
Sure.
tweaked as time goes on. I mean, we've done a little fine tuning here,
Sure.
so.
I move we approve the revisions on the city personnel as presented by the red-lined items.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kadada, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Consider approval of resolution 2022-25, a resolution appointing election judges for the May 24th, 2022 special primary election. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. With the passing of our U.S. representative for, U.S. congressional representative for District 1, Jim Hagdorn, he passed away in February. The result of that is there is now a special primary election scheduled for Tuesday, May 24th. According to state statute 204B.21 subdivision 2, it's the city council's responsibility to appoint election judges for elections that are held within the city. In talking with Rice County, they said that they were not going to do election judge training for this election. So we're required to use the election judges that are currently trained, essentially worked at either the 2020 or 2021 election. There will be election training this summer for the next 2-year cycle for 22 and 23. All of the election judges have worked in the past, and they all work good together. All trained, have all the required certifications that are needed. The fiscal impact of the city is that election judges are paid $14.42 an hour, which is grade 3, step 1 in the city's pay scale. The cost of this election was not budgeted for because it wasn't scheduled. We didn't know that this was unfortunately going to happen. There is no alternative. The city is required to appoint election judges for elections held within the city, again, according to state statute. And then included with the staff report is the proposed resolution and state statute 204B.21. Unless there's any questions, it would be my recommendation to approve resolution 2022-25.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Palava.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kadada. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Motion carries. Consider approval of resolution 2022-26, a resolution approving sponsorship of the Lonsdale Snow Wizards. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an annual resolution that the city considers for adoption. Essentially, what this does is it approves the Snow Wizards application, but the effect on the city is that we end up being the pay agent, or essentially pass-through, for the Snow Wizards to receive their grant funds. Last year, I believe the grant award was about $5,400. There's a total of 4 benchmarks or payments that are made. The first one is kind of getting the trails signed and marked and everything, and branches trimmed, and that's typically paid in early December. And then there's grooming benchmarks, I believe like February 15th, March 15th, and then the final payment is collected at the end of the season towards May. All the city does is we send in the certifications, the state pays us, we then in turn pay the Snow Wizards. So total city staff time throughout the whole season, 3-4 hours. It's pretty minimal. They do need a pay agent to be able to receive those funds. So staff would recommend approval of resolution 22-26.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Kadada.
Second?
Second by Councilperson Fair. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of resolution 2022-27, a resolution accepting a donation. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I think we had a number of donations made at the last council meeting. By statute, the city has to accept donations by resolution. In doing so, all parties involved are agreeing to what the donation is to be used for, so everyone has a clear understanding of what's going on. In this case, Shirley Trichka donated $50 to the Lonsdale Police Department for officer appreciation. So staff would recommend approval of resolution 22-27.
So moved. Motion by Councilman Webb,
Second.
second by Councilman Palava. Any further discussion?
Just like to say thank you for that to Shirley.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval to schedule special meetings to discuss the city's 2023 annual budget. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Well, weather doesn't feel like it. I think Councilmember Palava made that comment earlier, don't we? Start the budget process in summer. But regardless of the weather, it is that time of the year to hit our deadlines and provide enough time for thoughtful discussion and formulation of the city's 2023 budget. The dates proposed are June 6th, June 16th, July 7th, 25th, August 15th, 29th, and September 12th. The format would be similar to past years with kind of a kickoff meeting. The council can provide staff some direction, priorities, and that's used to formulate the remainder of the budget, followed by meetings on short, long-term needs, facilities, capital improvements, followed by department presentations. It's anticipated that we'll have to approve the preliminary budget and levy no later than September 29th council meeting. In the past, we've had to certify it to the county by September 30th. So if those dates work for the council, that would be great, or if they don't, we can, like I said in the staff report, get rolling and play it by ear if things come up or change, or if there's dates that absolutely don't work.
So are we looking at June, that we'll have 3 meetings then in June?
Budget meetings, or?
Well, we would have a council meeting on the, isn't it the, I've got it pulled the calendar. I thought that's the
You'd have your
third.
regular council meetings, whatever, the second and last Thursdays. And then the
So-
16th is the third,
Okay.
that's the EDA, and then Monday's the 6th. Did I get my dates wrong?
So you'd have the 6th, the kickoff, the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd. For including regular meetings. So you'd have-
Including our regular.
We'd
yeah.
have 4 meetings that month.
Yeah, correct, two
Two budget.
council meetings and 2 budget meetings.
I'll make up for the 2 we lost in January and February.
I don't think those will work for me. I got a retired partner now and he's not gonna be home. And I'm not gonna be always home either. So I will look further. It's very early in the schedule, but. I'll
We
take a
can
look.
just set it for now, and if we
Yeah.
can't, I mean, obviously we can't all make it, maybe.
Right,
we can
right.
plan this. Nice poke on the retired partner, though.
It's his fault.
It's 2 weeks, he's already thrown under the bus.
I mean, you want us, should we
Leave
set
it
it
for
at
now.
for
Set
now?
it, set it up like that,
Yeah,
we'll wing
it
it.
works.
I move we approve the scheduled times and dates.
Motion by Councilman Kadar.
Second.
Second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of application for payment number 9 in the amount of $30,932.19 to A1 Excavating Inc. for 2nd Avenue Southwest Area Street and Utility Improvement Project. Nick Williams, City Engineer.
Yes, hi, good evening, and Mayor and City Council. For your approval this evening is a request from staff to approve pay voucher number 9 to A1 Excavating in the amount of $30,932.19. This is for the Second Avenue Southwest area street and utility project. Pay voucher number 9 is for some outstanding quantity adjustments that had not been resolved and agreed to at the time. We were waiting to maybe close this out, but due to some complications with claims and damages to a private driveway, we weren't able to close this project out. So we are recommending payment at this point. We are holding back $9,000 in retention, and that's really till this driveway issue is resolved in some manner. That is the cost to completely repave the driveway. If it comes to that, we have those monies available. That was discussed with the city attorney, and that was a recommendation. So we are recommending payment at this time for the outstanding balance and a portion of the retention until this issue is resolved, and then we can actually close out the project at that time. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. The alternative would be to, obviously not approve it, would be the alternative.
There's no way to resolve that blacktop issue short of attorneys? We can't mediate or settle it?
Staff tried very hard to resolve that issue. Joel can attest to that. We've had several meetings, several discussions with both parties. No one's willing to budge, so we did issue a notice of default to their bonding company, hoping that would motivate them to resolve it. As of today, there's been no resolution to that matter, so we sort of are in a holding pattern until that can get done. We're just trying to protect the city's best interest by holding that money back and in case it just can't get to a point where it can get resolved.
How big of an area is it that needs to be repaved?
Well, that's a good question. The damage is to a portion of it. And so the request from the owner is completely repaving the entire driveway. Now, the driveway is quite large. And so there were several options discussed about maybe seal coating it or doing a portion of it, but that just wasn't going to, that just didn't work with the owner. So we're really at a standstill of repaving the entire driveway or nothing at this point.
So, I mean, I get the owner, but I mean, a city street, if you have a patch, you don't pave the whole street.
No, it's not proposed to pave the whole driveway. I would say it's probably about a third of it.
So,
And actually, I have been working with the city attorney, and he's actually been in contact with the villa's attorney about making a claim on their insurance.
so I mean, just so the patch, I mean, just as if a layman looked at it, what's fair? Is it $9,000 to do the patch?
That's what we've come up with the cost estimate, yes.
The problem, of course, is now you got attorneys at $200 an hour or whatever, you got all that jazz. It's too bad you can't get it resolved. But there was no LDs in the project or anything, or?
So, I didn't mention that, I'm sorry. There were LDs previously charged, but there was also some outstanding claims that exceeded that. So in negotiating with the contractor, we agreed they were 2 days late on the notice on the completion date, so we were able to rescind those liquidated damages in lieu of having to pay any kind of
Right.
extras that were charged.
I mean, and that's fine. I guess all I was head is that there's some negotiation remaining with those LDs against the $9,000. It sounds like it's not, though. You already kind of washed that out on previous claims or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And what are the steps if we would, this project, or the problem with the water main or water shut off was done because of that contractor, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
And that contractor admit that, or is he stating that it's not their fault?
They've admitted it's an issue, and as part of the closeout documents, we're gonna get an extended warranty on the water services in case we do have problems in the future, so we're gonna ask for another 2-year on top of the 2 years, so really be a 4-year warranty on the water service piece of it,
For just that particular service or the whole
well,
project?
for all of them.
I would be surprised if they agreed to that?
They've agreed to that, yes.
Oh, we've had like 5 or 6 fail.
Oh, really? Oh, not just the one?
No,
Oh.
this was,
I'm
it hasn't
surprised.
happened since this last one, so.
Right.
Well, I mean, I
Keep
assume
your
they were,
fingers crossed, but,
I assume they were pressure tested, right?
oh yeah, it passed everything.
That's odd.
The fitting that is failing is the connection on the other side of the curb stop, so no, it wouldn't have been pressure tested.
On the other side, is it something they installed? Or
Correct. It would be the curb stop to the property owner's service.
that
is where
connection is?
Connections have been failing,
Private side.
so it's on the private side that they connected to.
Okay. But they agreed to that. How about the mainline project? That's just the 2-year? Did that warrant, or go ahead?
That would be 2 years, correct.
Did that warranty period start yet?
No, it won't start till we officially accept the project.
And when do you expect that to be?
It's up to them. As soon as they can get us all the closeout documents, we can take it to council and close the project out officially.
That's really surprising on their part. Typically, you'd want to get the job,
Get it done.
get it behind you as soon as you can.
There's, that project is over 2.5 years old already, since it's been completed, per se.
That's too bad you're wrangling over $9,000. I mean, in your own opinion, they definitely damaged the blacktop.
Very clearly, yes. There's
Wi-
photos.
Without a doubt, 100%.
So you had said that you gave their bonding company notice. Do we put a claim into their bonding company at all, or just a notice? I mean, just,
Right now, it's a notice. I'm working with the attorney, has all the information. So that's why he's reaching out to the property owner's attorney to see if there could be a claim made on the contractor's insurance and go that route.
because I would see where this would get sidestepped of the contractor, and it's gonna be the bonding and insurance that are gonna take care of it.
Yeah, I mean,
At the
typically
end-
filing on a bond is not as easy as
Right.
people
No,
make it
it's
sound.
No, it's not. We went through that with the wastewater treatment plant. and
Right.
I think we covered our attorney fees.
I was gonna say,
Right.
it's probably closer to just do it and be
If
done.
that. The simplest and cheapest route would be just for the city to take care of it and just pay for it.
Well, my
versus
point
paying
is, I'm
attorneys.
surprised the contractor, I mean, have you ever tried to split it or just get it?
I've
Nothing.
exhausted every avenue.
So that it must be a principal thing for them then, I suspect.
Yeah, I think it's just,
Dug their heels in and.
yeah, dug their heels in and they're not budgeting. And it's just become more of it's less monetary at this point than I think is, unfortunately.
I guess my point is just so these attorney fees don't get carried away on
Right.
us. Because, even if you file on the bond, you're gonna be hard pressed to get your attorney fees. So you'll have to analyze that and.
Plus, I was wondering if there was a claim made on the bonding, or if we just, like you said, just do it. If there's no claim made, it might just be money ahead to do it, flush the project out, we're done.
Right, right.
I'm guessing you would be money ahead by doing it that way.
Well, then you should strongly look at that.
And then also, given the location of where this failure is happening, this hopefully doesn't, but everything tells me that it's going to happen. We're gonna have more failures. Once their warranty ends, the property owner is responsible for that repair per our current ordinance.
Right. But I think the
Because
point.
it's on that side of, I'm just making everyone aware that this, it may be in 4 years, it may be in 14 years, but it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, and I think if you haven't started the warranty period yet, so you already got 2 years into it, and they're gonna give you another 4, I mean, 6-year warranty, that's pretty good for.
Oh,
for anything,
absolutely.
Moving ahead, is there a different way that we can pressure test these fittings by stopping it at the house somehow and testing that whole line?
I don't know of a way to test that piece of it. You can test the cities, pressure test the cities part, but the service part, I'm not sure.
Because I would think it's, some of those lines possibly could have been pretty old.
Right, that's the problem is,
You're trying to tie,
Yeah, but
Right.
then you'd be pressure testing to the valve.
Their shut-off, yeah.
Property owners,
Yeah.
all
And we
of that.
get that to blow and.
if
I
it's
guess-
old, if it's old.
Right,
Trying to get in every house. to
Right.
do that.
Right.
I'm just trying to think, so if your contractor tie new pieces into a really old line,
Mhm.
that's a tough deal, but-
Has there been a history of this happening prior to this project?
No.
Nor sense.
Originally, I tried to claim that it was a wrong fitting, and the manufacturer came back with the information that the fitting is the correct fitting. It isn't the best fitting that could be used. So in the meantime, we talked with putting a spec in our spec. to make sure we're not using that pay
Right,
in the future.
right, that's good. Well, like I say, I think you really gotta monitor the attorney's fees,
Right.
so don't get away on us, but, I mean, regardless, I think you gotta pay them if they get coming.
Yep,
Yeah, that's
with their retainage.
Right, right.
Just curious, did they bid on this year's current project or not?
They did not, no.
They're not coming back. They don't,
I
they're
don't
done
believe-
here.
I don't believe they've been on last year's project
Right.
either.
But they're doing a big job by Lakeville at 70, they're, you know, they're pretty good size company. Anyway,
I make a motion, we pay voucher, number 9 to A1 Excavating in the amount of $30,932.19.
motion by Councilman Kadada, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes the planned agenda. On to department reports. Mr. Wessock.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, in the past couple weeks since we met the last time, Public Works has flushed hydrants, did the first sweeping of all the streets, trying to work on ballparks. We do have games coming up, but it's been very difficult to get them prepared, so we're still working on that. I have had conversation with Mid-States Reclamation, which will be coming into town to do the 22 project. They are going to reclaim the streets. And in the past, we used them also when they were in town to go do a edge mill for us. So I talked with them to see what it would cost us to drive down to Willow Creek to grind that trail that goes behind Willow Creek so that we could put it into a gravel state instead of blacktop, gravel, blacktop. It's very hard to maintain that way, to get it to grade out. They would charge like they did before. It's $550 an hour for the machine. They would not charge us a mold charge because they're gonna be in town. So that's something that I'd like to know if that's something that we could get done. They will be in on the 25th. So they would do it the 25th or 26th if it's approved. We would pack that in ourselves after they're done, roll it back down, grade it out, and have a gravel base there until we decide what to do there in the future with the funds to do it.
They take the big mill down there, or
Correct.
that would hold down there?
It's got very large flotation tires, so, yep. He is meeting me tomorrow to go look at it, so, I mean, I gotta talk with them, but he's gonna take a look at it. And interesting enough, this, project manager that I'm talking to actually moved to town and lives in town, so. Pretty close, Kevin, pretty close to you on Birch Street.
I've seen a mistake.
There's a lot of locals that actually live in
Yep.
town. Just a couple of questions. First of all, I think we talked about it at the budget meeting last year. We want to talk big picture this year's budget meeting is when we're going to do the trails and hammers, all that. But my question is, so when you change it to gravel, is there any sealant or something that we could put on there to prevent dust and erosion? I mean, could it be a calcium or, I think you should do that. Otherwise, you're going to be maintaining that and the dust and the wind and.
You know, with the blacktop mix to it, it usually binds pretty good though. So I guess we'd have to see how that plays out. The other thing we did talk about too today is possibly utilizing them to do the Fig Street Trail. We're planning on from 6th Avenue to 8th Avenue while they're in town. So we could have them drive over there and do that one at the same time and then go out for bids for just blacktopping it.
So now you're not doing a milling, you're doing actual reclaim, we're gonna incorporate the base with it?
Right.
Yeah. I do think you should, I mean, that's my point, you should ask him, but I think, especially if it's gonna be, you know, it might be a couple of years before,
Right.
we should figure out some kind of a sealant. Cause you know, as soon as it dries or the wind blows, the residents are gonna be.
Yeah, we could put chloride into it as, you know.
I think you should definitely talk to him and get that plan of attack. So how long of a stretch is this? Is it better way?
That stretch is about 1,300 feet.
And the one on Fig?
That one's 700.
And you're proposing to do that also?
Yep, and we're estimating it would be like 2 hours worth of work, so, and that's 550 an hour.
You never get a better deal than that.
No.
I mean, the mold will
The
cost you
mold,
that.
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Right. No, I think it's a good idea, I think it's good thinking.
It's unfortunate it has to be that way, but I just think till we get a great plan back there, I don't see sticking money back into a paved trail.
We already overlaid it once and it didn't pan out.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Williams?
I was just gonna piggyback on what Russ said about the trail, so we are gonna pick our quotes, if we do reclaim it, just probably wanna make sure we're gonna move forward with actually doing the trail project. There is 75,000 budgeted this year for that project. I just wouldn't wanna reclaim it and then not do that project, and we're gonna have to maintain that trail in its state of chloride and dust and all that, so the bids, and looking at probably, the estimate I ran was probably about 45,000 to do that work, so budget is available, but the bidding environment's pretty wacky right now, so it's hard to say for sure.
I think what I was kind of getting at, and we talked about it last year, is we have to look at a capital outlay program for the trails. Is it about 11 miles? I don't know how much of it has to be rebuilt. It sounds like it's pretty substantial. But like we talked before, maybe we don't do a street project for 1 year and focus on the trails. I mean, they're really a big asset to our community. I mean, a lot of people walk and, you know, they come from other towns just to walk our trails. So I certainly think that's worth an investment, and I don't know if that's something you guys want to kind of put an estimate or kind of identify the distance. I don't know if you come up with a, you know, square or a linear foot price or a square foot price or something to, I mean, is it, you know, the 50 grand or 500 grand or whatever, but it'd be nice to know the realm for the budget meetings, you know, if you can. But I do think we should look at that. You know.
Are you wanting to move forward with the stretch between Fig and Aid this year?
I think the milling, I don't know how bad it is, but if it's not safe, then I definitely, for $1,000 you get it milled, and even if you gotta put your own chloride on there, I mean, that's not that big a deal. I mean, they do it on gravel roads every summer.
That's what I.
The fig one would get repaved though.
Yeah.
Correct, we just don't wanna get out in front of the council and
Right.
go do this mill, you know, and then all of a sudden,
So my-
we get the bids for the project, it's like, oh, this is way more, or something happens, and
Well-
then that wouldn't get approved, and now we have a mill trail.
Right.
Well, that's my question is, so if you mill it and you calcium for this year, let's say the budget, we decide next year we're gonna move ahead with a complete blacktop of whatever, 5 miles of it. You know, can they stay in that state for the season?
The fig one I think would be pretty tough.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend that one. That
Mill.
one gets
It
a
gets-
lot of
Okay, so
traffic.
then if we do, will we skip that? I mean, can we not
Yeah,
do that?
that's-
You know, go to that point and then just resume 700 feet farther or something?
So not do the trail, not reclaim
No,
it?
no, I mean, if you pave Fig, for example, but next year we wanna do 5 miles, and we wanna do that trail, can we still utilize that and not have to tear that up again? Is my question.
That would be
Right.
the plan, yes.
Right, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine then, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you should do it, I think you gotta keep the trails just like you do the streets.
Yeah. The Willow Creek one, I think that one just, I think needs to stay, you
It's,
know.
it's kind of a rustic area
Yeah,
anyways, so.
I don't think we can
would-
pave that one right now. I
No.
just, until there's a great fix.
Even if we did a boardwalk with it, I mean, just with the ground issues,
Mm-hmm.
you know, is that gonna be an issue?
Right.
You know, with
Right.
trying to keep it leveled and,
That's a good point.
you know,
You still have the rodent issues, I suspect, and all that,
Very much.
yeah.
We don't wanna be throwing good money after bad.
Right.
Nope.
Right. Okay, we're on track? Okay, all right. Do you have anything else?
I just want to give an update to the council on the 2022 project. So we had a pre-construction meeting. They are planning to start on the 25th with tree removals, removal of pavement, reclaiming the road, those types of things. They are breaking it up into 2 phases, which is nice, so it's not going to impact the entire neighborhood. I think they did something similar have one part done at the end of June and start the other part in July and then be out of here in August, so
Good,
we'll be starting that soon.
good, good. Thank you, sir. Mr. Erickson, you have a couple guys to cover for there, the way it
Yep.
looks.
No updates.
How about, and for Ben, Ben has no updates either?
I don't know. Hopefully the weather's nice where he's at.
All right, thank you, sir.
Gotta be better than here.
Right.
Councilman Webb, anything?
No, I think we're gonna meet with the library board later this month, and then we'll probably bring some stuff up with them to the May council meetings.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Kadada.
Park board meeting is on the 25th at 6 PM, and planning and zoning is on the 25th at 6:45 PM. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Councilperson Farrer.
The EDA is scheduled to meet next week.
Thank you. Councilman Wilder.
The EDA, one of the things that was discussed at our past couple meetings was starting a community foundation. And last week, there was the first community foundation forming meeting took place, and I believe there was another one this week, did I?
Yep, there was one last night.
One last night, okay. So there was a group of citizens that are looking to head that up, so it's cool to see some new faces stepping up to continue the growth, and then, you know, for the community foundation is to take off, that'll be another asset to Lonsdale.
Good. Very, very cool. Sounds like the breaking ground in the business park is imminent for the Johnson building?
Yep, the site plan and plat have all been approved. I've been working with the developer to get the plat to the county and approved and ready for being signed and recording, so.
That'll be
And I-
good.
and I-
That'll bring some life up there.
I
some
believe the
momentum.
permit has been submitted, but I would have to confirm that. The
Good.
permit for the building on Pondview has been submitted and is in review process.
Okay, good, good deal. Okay, I don't have anything else other than have a happy Easter, everyone.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Councilman Kadada,
Second?
second by Councilperson Farrer. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This meeting's adjourned.